First, I thank God for who God is and for orchestrating the cosmos to facilitate my being here right now. Greetings to each of you. Thanks to Dr. Douglas Sullivan Gonzalez for the introduction. I would also like to thank Julian Gildner for extending an invitation for me to share with you some thoughts during such an important, sobering, and celebratory commemoration. I am truly honored. Admittedly, I'm still trying to balance the deep emotional impact of the honor with the reality that I'm now old enough to have received the invitation. Julian asked me to include some thoughts on my experience at Ole Miss. I'll start with a story I tell often of my first career day at Ole Miss, fall semester of my freshman year. I attended the career day at the Coliseum partially from curiosity, partially still attempting to validate my decision to come to school here. I polled the company representatives, trying to understand why they recruit students from Ole Miss. One representative's response has remained with me all these years. He said that every university graduates scholars, but this university graduates people who are scholars. I've grown to understand what he meant more and more as I have progressed through my career. There is something in the air here, in the social education, in the tailgating, in the parties in the union on the square that produces a different kind of graduate. A confident, academically sound professional who is a real person. There is tangible benefit to that combination in the workplace. I certainly have benefited from it, and I know many others who have as well. Ole Miss is a production facility for citizens like that. I encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity presented by this environment. This place is opportunity. Ole Miss is the result of a stream of events and circumstances, the amalgamation of which has produced an available experience that can only be described as amazing. From the reasons it was founded to the collection of personalities filling her halls today, this place has become so much to so many, so much to me. My relationship began as a freshman in high school when I received the first letter from an Ole Miss ambassador. Between my junior and senior years in high school, I participated in the PACE program here on campus, the precursor to summer college for high school students. My high school years were very interesting times for me, so I cannot overstate the impact that Dr. Lynn Murkison had on my life during those 5 weeks. She guided me through a most critical transition, and she did so without judgment and maybe even without knowing. She helped me lay a foundation. Still, I arrived here as a freshman, driven but with no direction, confident but confused. Enter Dr. Elizabeth Payne, who worked a pure miracle in planting the seeds for what would grow into the Sally McDonald Barksdale Honors College of today. She sacrificed so much of herself for us, for me. I will always be grateful to her for introducing me to the path of introspection and self-discovery. Then Dr. Susan Glisson came along and challenged everything I thought I knew. She helped me exchange the external expectation that I had been collecting my entire life for the challenge of my own. Dr. Payne and Dr. Glisson supported me through decisions that no one else seemed to understand. Dr. Mark Kidd, who was my first mentor here, and David Harris, who became my friend, were quiet examples. They didn't necessarily offer much advice, they just lived it. I am a Phi Beta Sigma man today because of the excellence I observed in them. There were too many fond memories, key moments, and pivotal persons during my time in Oxford for me to mention them all here. Of course, the best thing I took away from Ole Miss was my wife. Even with such a wonderful, transformational experience on campus, I fully expected my relationship with Ole Miss to all but end after graduation. The very opposite has been true. I have a closer relationship with Ole Miss today than ever. Since I cannot write the big check yet, I am honored to serve as an alumnus in whatever ways that I can. Then Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jones whispered something to me about 3.5 years ago, a single sentence in passing that he may not even recall having said, that has been the underpinning for much of my recent efforts here. I have my sleeves rolled up, trying to make our university even better. Why? Allow me to share with you an excerpt from a speech I wrote a few years ago for another occasion here on campus. This place is special. This place is special to me. My future and Ole Miss are inextricably interwoven. I stand upon her history, and her future is being built upon my shoulders. And so, in my quiet times, I sometimes ask myself, what exactly is this place? Is this place simply the host of our favorite sports team's home games, a stick pin on the map where college football's greatest tailgating can be experienced? Is this place simply a clever assortment of artistically designed buildings resting upon an award-winning landscape? Is this place simply an incubator of Miss American contestants, national leaders, and international scholars? Is this place simply a collection of controversial symbols and figures, an almost legendary history memorialized in bullet-scarred columns and statues? What is this place way down south in Mississippi? What is Ole Miss? Well, we are. Both all together and individually, we are Ole Miss. Oftentimes, cheerleaders, random fans, or sometimes select celebrities can be found asking us, are we ready? Are we? Are we ready to make this great American public university even better, an institution of higher learning non-pareil? Are we ready to accept and respect the entirety of our history and maintain its proper place in the continuous celebration of who we are? Are we ready to release the long-held and emotional grip we hold on implements that only serve to effect division in our family? Are we ready to move past tolerance, past interest, past even appreciation, to a day when we're truly fascinated by the unique qualities and contributions we all bring to bear? Are we really ready? Let's think about some of those thoughts and questions, these challenges for a moment. I stand upon her history, and her future is being built upon my shoulders. In the words of the great Indo-Trinidadian American poet, Onika Maraj, in this very moment I'm king. In this very moment I slay Goliath with the sling. In this very moment I put it on everything. I will retire with the ring, and I will retire with the crown. Yes. No, I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. Yes. Clap for the heavyweight champ, me. But I couldn't do it all alone, we. Well, what is she saying? I am who I am in no small part because of the multitude of persons God has placed in my life over the years. I stand on their shoulders and the shoulders of so many others who I've never met. I stand on the shoulders of those who peacefully fought their way through this wilderness so that I could have a path to follow. I stand on the shoulders of those who had their fraternity house burned to the ground, but who exhibited the courage to establish another. I stand on the shoulders of those who chose to participate in the activities they loved, even though they weren't wanted. I stand on the shoulders of those who ascended to lead organizations whose membership wasn't interested in supporting them. I stand on the shoulders of those who sacrificed to provide knowledge to minds who weren't open to learning. I stand on the shoulders of my parents, whose hearts were so full of love that they guarded my young, impressionable psyche from developing unnecessarily negative opinions of the world, despite the world hating them daily. I stand on the shoulders of so many others so that others can stand on mine. I invite you to stand on mine so that others can stand on yours. So, fortify yourselves because we need you to be strong. We need you to be brilliant. We need you to be excellent. Every time you go to class, learn something new, ace an exam, write an essay, entertain a new idea, engage in a friendly debate, or read a book, you're doing shoulder presses, push-ups, hyperextensions, lat pulls, rack pulls, all to get your back and core stronger, enabling you to support someone else. See, we have come a long way as a nation and as a people. Lord knows we have. Yet, we have not arrived. The progress has been remarkable. I often think of the improvement in the Ole Miss experience from my wife's father's tenure, to her aunt's tenure, to our tenure, to today's experience. Yet, everything is not okay. We must actively appreciate what has been sacrificed for us to reach today and accept responsibility for shaping what remains to be. The election of the first black president of the United States did not mark the end of the race, but the beginning of another lap. What we have in this country, what we have as a people in this country, is not happenstance or coincidence. What we have individually today is not happenstance or coincidence. A lot of people sacrifice tremendously for us to have what we have. To paraphrase Rick Ross, they were self-made. We're just affiliated. They built from the ground up. We're just renovating. We must also remember that not everyone has what we have. This is not the way it is, just simply the way it is for us. The baton is being passed to us. Will we run with it or from it? The baton is being passed to us. Will we run with it or from it? Now, let me clarify one thing. Standing on someone's shoulders is not the same as stepping on someone's head. Let us pledge today that we will no longer choose to denigrate one another under the naive assumption that doing so somehow enhances us. Trust that it does not. We cannot afford to distract ourselves with our petty differences. I can offer you data that suggests how similar we all are genetically and how race is mostly a social construct with little to no biological basis, and how stereotyping has strong roots in neurophysiology. But I don't want to speak to your intellect today. I want to speak to your hearts, to your humanity. Because even though race may not be genetic, it certainly is real. Truth is not required for something to be real, only belief. Again, I say we cannot afford to distract ourselves with our petty differences. We must strengthen ourselves with them. Are we ready for that? Are we ready to accept and respect the entirety of our history and maintain its proper place in the continuous celebration of who we are? Are we ready to release the long-held and emotional grip we hold on implements that only serve to effect division in our family? Are we ready to stop celebrating and holding on to who Ole Miss was and start celebrating who we are and who we can become? Are we ready to move the Southern definition of diversity beyond the study of the relationship between white people and black people? Are we ready to treat diversity as the study of variety in thought, whose genesis is variety in persons and experiences? I so often tire of the debates of the symbols and traditions surrounding this campus, if for no other reason than we seem to be talking more at each other than we are to each other. There are individuals on all sides of these debates who are exactly what they appear. I don't think we need to describe them. But there are also people who, in my opinion, represent the majority of us, who simply aren't making the effort or aren't being given an opportunity to understand another side. We have grown so suspicious of one another. We insist on assigning the worst intentions to others while we wish for expectations of the best intentions be granted us. We throw around facts and figures as if they matter. This isn't not an issue of fact. 'Tis an issue of emotion and personal hurt. Look, while I disagree with the notion, I believe legitimate is the fear, the emotion, that somehow we are succumbing to the PC police by separating ourselves from controversial traditions, and that there is no foreseeable end to what will be, quote, taken away, unquote. However, I believe many don't truly understand how injurious those things are to so many of us. I don't think malice is always involved, but I do believe that some have the luxury of not having to consider the injuriousness because it is pointed in a different direction. Similarly, I believe legitimate is the feeling that the presence of these traditions serve us notice that while we are all allowed to be here, some of us are not welcome. Both of these seemingly orthogonal feelings coexist, and they cannot be changed or reconciled without increased understanding. 'Tis often said that the view through a knothole is dependent upon which side of the fence you stand. I say we take the fence down, even if board by board, so we can fully see each other. I challenge all of us to seek a deeper personal understanding of one another. I've experienced moments that cause me to wonder whether or not the university I love so dearly and to which I offer so much time and energy actually loves me back. That hurts me to even say aloud, but I have my sleeves rolled up. I know there are people here who love me, but some of the things we allow to happen here still give me pause. So then, while much of this challenge is for those of us in the Ole Miss family, the university leadership does play a pivotal role in this. In his book, What If?, Dr. Steve Robbins tells of a time when he elected to add rainbow trout to the pond on his property, which was already stocked with bass. The experts at the specialty pet store advised him regarding the modifications required to his pond to ensure that his new fish would flourish. Mainly due to impatience, Dr. Robbins put the fish in the pond prior to completing the modifications, having convinced himself that he would complete them soon. Days turned to weeks and months. I'm sure you can guess what happened to those fish. My challenge to the university administration is this. We seem to be getting better and better in attracting all sorts of fish to our pond. Let us make sure the environment and conditions will allow them to flourish here. The University of Mississippi is more than the sum of its symbols and traditions. Ole Miss is a family, flaws and all. Just like every family, we have some members of our family who don't seem to act in everyone's best interest. And just like most families, we don't all agree on every issue every time, but we hold in common a love that binds us together. Let us focus on that love. If we do, perhaps we can move past tolerance, past interest, past even appreciation, to a day when we're truly fascinated by the unique qualities and contributions that we all bring to bear. Are we ready? I am.